Hi, we're at the Nintendo corner. Nintendo and Squaresoft parted ways during the dawn of the PlayStation 1 era for Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 to be more powerful, grander journeys than they could be handled on the N64. By the time the GameCube came around again, Nintendo was like, hey, can you make them again? Can we have Final Fantasy again? And they were like, nah, dude. At this point, we've had 10, 10-2, 11, and now 12 is on the way, all in development exclusively for the PlayStation 2. It was too late, so they came up with a solution. Let's make a Final Fantasy series for Nintendo consoles, geared a little bit more towards children and not teens and young adults. The Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles series was born, exclusive for the GameCube. But now, no longer. It is on the Switch, and for the first time ever, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Oh wait, I just forgot it. It's not on Xbox. It's on PS4, Switch, and phones. This remaster came out in 2020. This thick fog of disease that forced everybody to stay indoors, only able to travel if they're in their own bubble, is the story of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Just so happened to be remastered in the year 2020. It's probably a coincidence. Now, even though this is now available on other consoles, I have to say, this game is so GameCube. It's not even funny. I mean, just look at the menus, the rotating 3D little models going around, just the overall game feel, the graphical style, the tone. Everything about this game took me back to my childhood. The GameCube was my console, my first console. Playing this game felt like going back to my childhood. It feels like a game that I probably played at some point at some friend's house one time, and it was just a really fun time, but I don't remember the game. Or it feels like a game that I would have rented from Blockbuster or something. Just never would have actually found it as an adult. The game that it reminds me most of is Shrek 2, the video game. Now, if you're around my age, chances are you might know about Shrek 2, the video game. I didn't know anything about Crystal Chronicles. I think Shrek 2 ripped this off. It's a 4-player co-op game. Top-down, well, not really top-down, more like a little angle, where you're running around 3D, there's no turn-based, everybody has their own health, you can choose a class, you got your own special abilities, and it's pretty basic action. You press the B button to attack. Actually, you press the A button. I feel like I've been bringing up Kingdom Hearts a lot lately. The gameplay is similar to that, in the way that you select an action. There's no attack button. Just in the corner, you can press L or R to shift between actions. So one of them is attack, one of them is defend, and you can equip magic and other stuff to fill out the other slots, your command slots. So you just switch over to whatever you want to do, and you press A and you do that. Technically, it's like a one-button game. And if you're like me, you're probably just going to keep it on the attack button, occasionally switch to cure to heal yourself, and it plays a little bit like baby Dark Souls. It's kind of fun. For, I think, the first time ever, you have some character customization options. You can, aside from 11, you can be a mage or a warrior or like 2 other weird classes, male or female. You can choose your hairstyle, even your voice. That's more customization options than what were present in Final Fantasy 11. It's pretty cool, and you know what else? This game also has cross-play, so you can play with your friends on PS4 or the phone or the Switch. You can all play together. The game goes on sale pretty cheap too, so you get some friends together, buy it for like $5 each or something, and you're in for a good time. This is a fun game. One of the first things I did was look online. 0 people are playing. It's been out for 2 years, so yeah, I guess it's dead. But what are you gonna do? I guess it's not meant to be a game you play online with random people. You're supposed to get friends together. In fact, there's a light version. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, Light Edition, which is free and allows you to do like a couple dungeons on your own. But if you want to be the second player to somebody else who owns the game, you can play through the entire game with them for free. That's great. I found out about this after I beat it, so I probably would have asked some people to to just try that with me, but I totally didn't know it was a thing until it was too late. I played through this game completely alone, and I'm no stranger to playing a multiplayer game by myself, so it was not a problem. There are two issues that have been brought up with the community regarding this remaster, and that is, number one, they took out local multiplayer. Obviously, the GameCube version didn't have online. The whole thing was local. And now you can't do local. Why? There's this sort of Animal Crossing-esque aspect to this game where you have a hometown with your family, and the story goes you set off every year to bring back enough myrrh, they call it, this liquid material that basically lets us live. Because like I said, there is a disease in the world, and if you leave your bubble, you will die from the disease. That wasn't a joke. That's really what the story is. And so you have your home. You can't really do anything aside from talk with your family every now and then, but there are a bunch of other houses with nothing around them but a Moogle who says nobody has moved in here yet. So I think the idea was in the original, like people would move in, other players, you can start other files, other characters, and they'd all exist in this town and all be playing their own game until you decide you want to tackle a dungeon in multiplayer. It's kind of cool. So you can start multiple characters and have multiple homes, but you can't play together like you could in the original. I don't know what's up with that, but as long as you're good with playing online, that shouldn't affect you at all, except for the second problem. When you play online, progress only happens for the host player. As in, you will never really get upgraded and story will not progress in your file if you are player 2. Maybe not a problem if you're a Crystal Chronicles Lite Edition player, but if you own the game and you want to beat the game, you kind of won't be able to, unless you're playing with this player. And now again, it might not be a problem for some people, but still, that's like, what? Why? Why? Two big problems that did not bother me because I was a single player. Now, in single player, it's really not that different. You're just one guy, and you have this Moogle who follows you around. Each level is a start to finish. You gotta explore, kill enemies, find items, find treasure chests, but kill the boss at the end. The whole time you have to be carrying this pot of the myrrh that creates a bubble around you of which you cannot leave or else you'll start to lose health. So you obviously can't carry it and attack. So basically there's a Moogle who you can command to carry it with you. And it's not really a problem. It's fine. It's kind of a children's game. It's pretty easy, but I've welcomed it. I've been playing a lot of hardcore JRPG stuff, so it's been a nice change of pace. It's been chill, fun, innocent little game. There's this new creature to the Final Fantasy canon called the Papaupamus. The Papaupamus? The Papaupamus? It's called the Papaupamus. And I like that. That was cool. I was a fan of that. I haven't done like a gameplay section, but I've explained everything. You select your command, you can equip things in the command slot. If you combine magic to get like stronger magic, there's no MP, so you can just spam. Although attacking with your sword is usually more effective. It's more about cure. You can kind of just heal all of the time. Just heal and heal and heal when you're low on health, so the game is pretty easy. Probably even easier with friends who can like cast raise on you when you die, or you can just equip Phoenix Downs to one of your command slots and it'll automatically be used when you die. So again, you got a lot of security with death. My only complaints are that like if you do die, which I've done a couple times, we'll talk about that, everything that you've done in most games, it would go without saving. Like you didn't save any of that progress because you died, so you're starting over, so you have all your items and everything. If you use items and Phoenix Downs, what happened was I used all of my Phoenix Downs in the final boss, but the final boss has multiple forms. So after I got to like the last form, I had no Phoenix Downs, and then I died and I went all the way back and I didn't have any Phoenix Downs. So I had to go one life on that final boss, and that sucked. So that's a complaint. Also, you can't skip cutscenes. 2020. Can't skip cutscenes. What the heck? So this game is simple, fairly easy, but there is a little gimmick that makes it unique and fun. So every year you set off on this journey to collect myrrh, and whenever you collect enough, it brings you over to year 2. You start back at the family hometown and you go off on a different direction maybe, or whatever you want. You can go in whatever direction. When you enter across section, you might line up with another caravan who will talk to you, try to rob you, try to tell you a story or something. And it's random. Depending on, I don't know what it depends on, where you are, where you go. I don't know. There's some story stuff that's guaranteed, but the rest of it is nothing. And every time something happens, you write about it in a diary. And over the course of your journey, you have this diary listing out everything that's ever happened. And it's unique to every player. That's pretty darn cool. I've never really played a game with that kind of effect. But you do eventually start to think, what am I doing? This game is so chill and easy that it's almost like nothing's even happening at all. I've heard from a lot of people that as kids, when they grew up with this game, they didn't even know there was a story or it was possible to end it. You start visiting the same exact areas and they get a little more difficult. There's some changes, you can get some better bonuses at the end of them, but is there an ending? How do you know? Well, there are little hints throughout. There are certain guaranteed events that will come up to your caravan, such as this guy named Gertie, who's like the worst guy, who pranks you, tries to rob you, makes you feel bad when you don't give him money. But every year or so, he gives you another piece of this poem he's been lining up. And every line of the poem is something like, the rocks get chilly, the cactus doesn't like lightning. It's like very on the nose. Like, okay, I gotta use lightning on a cactus, or where is that? Where are the rocks? Where is all this stuff? He keeps lining you up with these spells until eventually he finishes it. There is this mystery to be solved, and I kind of really like how it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't even tell you that there's an ending or there's a way. Everybody around you is wondering, is there a way to end this disease so that we can just be free people and we don't have to do this every year? We have to send people out, send these kids out to get the myrrh for us. You have an actual family at home, and every year you gotta leave them, and your mom sends you letters about like, at dinner I see the empty chair, I think of you, and my eyes start to tear up, and it's like really sad. Like, your family misses you. You're not experiencing the life that you should have with them because you're doing this necessary work for survival. This kid's game gets extremely dark at some points like that. So you're like, how do you end this? And there's this guy who knows something, but he's not telling you. Now, as cool as this is, it's also where the gameplay gets very repetitive. It was already super simple, but if you're going through new areas, killing new bosses, it's fun. But when you go to the same area to kill the same boss, like the third time, that's when I was kind of checked out. I was like, alright, where's the end? There are certain areas that open up to you, certain points of the game. You can probably get to them much earlier than I did, depending on what you know. You can continue on this line that eventually ends, or you can hear rumors about people who are starting up boats. You see this guy who's like, the boat's not ready yet. Maybe next year it'll be ready. Oh, okay, so then you visit him next year and you can go to a new island. There's multiple islands. There's like a big volcano. You might think that's the ending. It's not. There's another island over here, and there's shops over here. And at the end of that island's road, there's a cave that you need a certain element of your myrrh to get through. But it's not an element you know. It's not fire, water, lightning, or anything. Where do you get this secret element? And one of the islands, the other islands, is a desert. And you go to the desert, and then you see the cactus, and you're like, oh, the cactus. What about the other things he was talking about? There's these rocks. But which rocks? And you explore this whole desert. It's a level that you can beat. But if you don't beat it and you explore deeper, you find these secret spots where you use the magic and you do it in step-by-steps around the map. And eventually, you get the special element. And you bring it there, and that's where the game ends. I was not entirely prepared for this. One night I was just hanging out. I got the special element, I went through the cave, and there was just a level, and I decided to play the level. It was the 7th year of my journey. I don't know if that's too early or not, but I was getting my butt handed to me on this level. And like I said, I was on my 3rd repeat of some of these levels, so I was kind of bored, and I was like, this is a new level, I'm gonna play it. These enemies are kicking my butt, but I'm doing it. Usually I kill every enemy I come across and find everything, but I just tried barreling through with my Moogle, who was like falling behind. I was out of my bubble, losing health, but I just kept curing myself, because if I went back, I'd be destroyed by the enemies. So I just kept going. And then we find this giant, disgusting plant thing that's oozing this poison out, and I'm like, is this the source? Is this the final boss? Fortunately, it was part 1 of a 4-part boss. Now I got something to say about that, because there's no save points in between starting that level and getting to the end. This was about 2.5 to 3 hours of play to get to the end. That's something you might expect from a mainline Final Fantasy, but I can't even think of a recent one that I played that lasted this long and was this tough. I was probably underleveled. I probably needed more stat boosts and better equipment and stuff. But I'm just gonna say this game is not epic enough for that ending. It was actually it was hard to get through mentally. It was like 2 a.m. You ever have one of those nights where, like, you know you're at the end and it's like 12:30, it's a work night, but it's like, I could beat it tonight. So you just keep going because you don't want to erase all that progress. It was one of those. And after all the stuff that happens in the ending, there's this girl who's like an angel who asks you questions that you can't look up a guide to answer. You have to get them right. But they're questions based off of your specific diary, so only your game save and the events that took place in that exact order will be relevant for this quiz that you have to take. Again, kind of a cool idea, but like, I was not feeling it at the time. It was pretty annoying. At that point, since I kept dying and using my Phoenix Downs, and the game saves that even though I died, I lost all of my Phoenix Downs, and I had to do the final boss in one go. Kind of annoying. Man, it would have been so much better with friends, though. I wish I heard about that light version, because I totally would have got a whole group of friends together, and even if they didn't want it, I'd be like, it's free, come on, it's free. I recommend this game, though. I do. It's really interesting and cool and casual fun. It's not like Left 4 Dead on expert, get your friends together and, oh, you need that hard teamwork to get this done. No, it's just like hanging out. It's a good hangout game. And on your own, it's not so bad either. It just gets boring at a certain point. But the game's not long. Would it take me 15 hours or something? Oh, that's easy. That's easy. 15 hours? Come on. And there's a lot more I didn't see. The remastered version, I think, adds post-game content, like a ton of different dungeons and stuff. And like I said, there's lore, there's story that I didn't see, I think, because I probably hit that end point a little too early. The character, that girl, the angel, no idea who that is, but she's like important. The Gertie guy probably has more story to him that I didn't see because I just went to the end. But I had my fill and I had a good time, so. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Good. Play online with your friends, give them the free version, and none of the bad parts about the remake should matter to you. It's good, it's fine. And I look forward to experiencing the next installments of the Crystal Chronicles franchise. I think there's a few of them. I don't know how many are actually playable, but we're going to find out. Anyways, the next game we're going to talk about is a little game called Final Fantasy X-2. Wait.